We're going to take a look at a classic Old English folk song, Greensleeves. But I really want people to kind of learn this from reading the notes. So this is part of the Guide to Reading Music, to have a very easy piece. Pretty easy. I've got a variation that makes it a little bit more complicated. But really, really basic version of the song, and which is played kind of in a couple of different keys, but it uses the A minor scale. So I want to talk first a little bit about the minor scale. Our natural minor scale of A would be A through A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And what we call the melodic minor scale has a couple of additional notes. On the way up, it would usually use, well, it would use F sharp and G sharp heading up to A. But on the way down, it would use G natural and F natural. So the sum of this is that in this song we're likely to see both G natural and G sharp, and possibly F natural and F sharp, depending on what's going on with the melody. There's another time when we use a C chord and just hear the F sharp in the melody, which kind of hints at a Dorian sound. And I may talk about that a little bit more, but I have two pages that have, the first page just has the melody with a very simple bass line, one bass note per measure. And that bass note is also kind of outlines the chord or the harmony. And then in the variation I have has most of the measures with 3 bass notes in there, just to dress it up a little bit. So again, part of the goal in this is to practice your sight reading kind of, and get the hang of where those notes are. Now, another important thing about this, and a good part of the project to learn this song, is to figure out efficient ways of fingering each of these notes so that every note can be held for as long as it needs to. Sometimes that might mean a bass note that you have to hold down for all 3 beats in the measure. Other times it might be a bass note that comes in towards the end of a measure, but you can't let go of the melody note, so you have to figure out a good way of working with your left hand for this. All of the bass notes have stems written down, and those will all be played with your thumb, which is going to include an open G sometimes. Sometimes you'll play a melody note on the 4th string, where we'll have some F sharps that haven't made part of the melody, and those will be played with your index finger. So your thumb plays the bass notes, your fingers play the melody notes, regardless of what string they're on. So that's it for the little preview of this, and I'd like you to first now take a look at it and see what you can come up with as far as getting through the easy version with just the single bass notes, but possibly the variation as well. Now, there sort of could be an in-between in what I'm calling variation 1. Like I said, we usually have 3 bass notes in a measure, but the whole thing could sound really good with just 2 bass notes in a measure as well. I'll talk about that as we work through the first version. So that's it. Take a look at it first yourself, see what you can come up with, and then I will kind of break it down over the next couple of segments. Let's take a look at the music and start with just the melody. Melody notes will all be played with your fingers, and we'll figure out what right hand finger is the best to do. So if I'm playing just the melody, not worrying about the bass notes, we'll of course come up with this. Fingers on your right hand, pretty much 1 per string, and as long as you don't have an 8th note or a note following at an 8th note speed, we can use the same finger for every string. So I'd use my middle finger for there, and I'd use it again, and my ring finger for the E. Now here, for those 2 notes, I would alternate using my middle finger on the F and then my ring finger for the E. So did you come up with this as a chord progression? A minor, C, G, E minor.